What's up, boys? Action Jackson here, and today I got a very special presentation for you guys. So, today we're going to talk about how to cure depression without smoking weed. So, basically, on the left, that's when I was smoking weed. That's when I felt like shit all the time. Like, look at my eyes. Like, it was bad, bro. I was fat, out of shape. I was still going to the gym. I knew I was doing wrong. I knew I could do way better. And, that's when I started to. And the picture on the right is about 6 months later. And as you could tell, all the muscle grew. I got way more shredded. And, my life got better. And I cured my depression. So, let's go continue. So, first, we want to, talk about what is depression. Now, depression is a low-frequency state in which the brain operates in constant negativity. The low-frequency state is only a product of your actions and your environment. So, before I get into this, first, I do want to say, I spend a lot of time explaining things. So this presentation is probably going to be a lot longer than it should be, but just want to add that. So, it is only a product of your actions and environment. What do I mean by that? Like in that picture when I was fat, ugly, feeling like shit, that was a product of my actions, right? Your external state is only a direct interpretation of your internal state. So, if you're in a low frequency, obviously you're going to look like shit. That's like kind of a basic law. But the reason why you got there is from your actions, right? I was smoking weed. I was eating like shit. Every night I was playing video games till 1 or 2 a.m. I was sleeping in till like 12 p.m., 1 o'clock. All these different things. And I would be late for work. All the bad things. And then also my environment, I was surrounded by friends that also smoked weed, also ate like shit. All the things I was doing. So one of the main things I did to convert myself and transform myself into a jacked version, curing my depression. I was extremely depressed in that picture. One of the main things I did was I just started taking different actions. Everyone's capable of taking different actions. When you look at the donuts, bro, everyone is capable. You are capable of looking at the donuts and saying, fuck the donuts, I'm throwing away the donuts, and I'm looking at the ground beef and the eggs, and the fruit, and the healthy stuff. Everyone has the choice to throw away the donuts and eat the healthy stuff, right? And the environment is also extremely important because you want to surround yourself with people that are like-minded. And, one of the biggest issues I had was that I didn't have any friends like that. I didn't have nobody. So what I did is I stopped associating myself with that other environment, and then I was lonely. So what did I do? I created my own environment. How do I create my own environment? It's influence. All it is the influence. So the influence meaning like watch better YouTubers, watch better influencers, get your information from better sources, Like what I love to do is I love to watch Andrew Tate. I love to watch his, motivational speeches, his positivity. I love to watch, different people just like that. And I stopped watching Angry Grandpa Show. I stopped watching gaming YouTubers. I stopped watching weed YouTubers. It's all the same. All the influence is the same. And then I started getting new friends that were higher quality, and they pushed me to do more, and then everything will start to pile on, but you have to make the start. It starts with the actions and the environment. So just keep that in your head, okay? So here's the agenda for today. So, the 4 main things that are actions and environmental based is healthy diet. You want to lock your diet in. Fitness, you want to lock in your fitness and whatnot, your lifestyle, and becoming purpose driven. So I don't want to go too much in depth here because we're going to go in depth in these slides. So first one is the healthy diet. So obviously, on the picture right here, you want to get rid of all that processed bullshit, all that cheap dopamine, all that easy stuff, and you want to replace it with the picture below, which is a meal I had when I was eating a ton of calories. Now, that is a lot of food right there. That is a lot of food, and you will have difficulty eating all that. But I guarantee you it's lower calorie than something you would eat from one of these processed fast food bullshits. So keep that in mind. So I had a kiwi, had carrots, potatoes, raw cheese, pasture-raised eggs, and some grass-fed ground beef. So on the left side, studies show that 90%, bro, 90% of all serotonin and 50% of all dopamine is produced in the gut. There is so much stuff going on in your gut that if you're destroying it with bullshit food, you're going to have a lot of issues. You're going to have low energy. You're going to have no motivation to do anything. You're just going to be in that low frequency, depressive state no matter what. So the first thing ever is just your diet. Now, obviously your diet's not everything, but that is going to be almost everything. That's going to be most of it, bro. It's going to be like 3/4, 75% of everything. So, and like I just said, eliminate all processed foods and replace them with nutrient-dense whole foods. So right here, the raw cheese is going to have vitamin K2. It's going to have a lot of, enzymes, beneficial enzymes that'll, heal your gut, refuel your gut. Your gut needs enzymes to work at its fullest potential. Pasture-raised eggs has every vitamin and micronutrient and mineral under the fucking sun except for vitamin C. And, what I do to get the vitamin C is from my kiwis. And obviously I have grass-fed ground beef that's going to supply me with plenty of cholesterol. Same thing with the eggs. The eggs and the ground beef kind of do the same thing. It's just I don't want to be eating only eggs. That's kind of torture to me. I like having a little bit of variety. It's all about loving what you eat. You can have steak. Everyone loves steak, I hope. I know there's probably that select few, but everyone loves cheese. You can get raw cheese. Really good for you. Raw milk. Raw yogurt. All that type of stuff. And then I fried potatoes in butter, fried carrots in butter. And yeah, that's when I was bulking and I was eating a lot of food. If you want to really lose fat, which I had to do, this is when I wanted to build a bunch of muscle, starting around, end of October-ish, something like there. But that's besides the point. Right now I'm eating a lot less calories because I'm trying to get super shredded for the summer, and I'm kind of documenting that right now. So definitely stay in tune with that before I go too much into that. You want to avoid seed oils, you want to avoid nuts, you want to avoid oats and legumes. This is a huge one that so many people, get mixed up with because, especially peanut butter, with nuts. That's literally a seed oil, bro. Peanut butter is literally a seed oil packaged differently, and to be like, yeah, this is a whole food. You feel like shit after eating it. It has, phytic acid that's going to steal all your minerals. Minerals those are your electrolytes, bro. You need those. And the stuff in peanut butter, the stuff in nuts, the stuff in oats, the stuff in legumes, and seed oils are a whole different thing. If you're watching my channel, you probably already know about all the seed oils. They're just bad in general. You want to avoid those, but the nuts, oats, and legumes are the big things that people, fall into, and a lot of vegetables too, like leafy greens, celery, shit that has no micronutrients. It's gonna fuck your gut. Your body's not gonna be able to digest it properly. Those are bad. Carrots, onions, garlic, bell peppers, cucumbers, eggplants, stuff that makes sense you would eat, Those are a lot different. Those are a lot easier to digest, and they have a lot of beneficial nutrients to them. So yeah, and paying attention to micronutrients is the big thing. That's kind of what I've been getting at here this whole time. There's tons of minerals, tons of vitamins, everything you need in that meal right there, and it's going to give you all that energy within, heal your gut, and cure a lot of your depression. So the second thing is fitness. Fitness is pretty simple. Here's a picture of me doing some hammer curls in the gym. You want to be doing intense workouts 5 to 6 days per week. So, it's really simple. You just go into the gym, You lift heavy weight. You make it super intense. You push yourself to the absolute limit. You're focused. You're locked in. And you release all the endorphins. And you start to lose fat. Or you start to build muscle. Or both. And you just start to have more confidence. More just endorphins and positivity. Once you complete that every single day. Because a lot of people, especially when they start, they don't like going to the gym. They don't enjoy it. It sucks, It's painful. It just fucking sucks. But after a while, you start to crave it because of that high you get afterwards, and you just feel good, man. It's just super healthy to get exercise. We're not meant to sit down all day and scroll in our bed. Like that's not what we're meant to do. So, and then 10K steps per day. I try to 10K steps minimum. I try to get more. I try to get 12, 13, 15K even sometimes. But that burns so many calories, bro. You don't need to hate your life and go on Stairmaster every day. You don't need to hate your life and go for runs every day. I hate that shit, and it fucks up my knees. And it's just, unless you're like a multi-level athlete, you're fighting MMA, you're doing football, whatever it may be, okay, there's things for that. But if you're just trying to get into fantastic shape and feel your best and not be depressed, I would not really recommend doing that. So 10K steps per day, that's all you need. You'll be shredding fat like crazy, bro. That's what I did when I was fat, dude. I just made sure I got 10K steps a day, ate whole foods, had intense workouts 5 to 6 days per week. And honestly, bro, a lot will change. A lot will fucking change. And once you get to, 15% body fat, then you want to start really dialing things in. That's when you really want to start really focusing on okay, what exactly do I need to eat? How much do I need to eat? What are the macros I need to eat? All that type of stuff. And then you want to be upping the steps, and then you want to be upping the intensity, and then you want to be doing different types of workouts, whatever. Daily stretching, bro, very important. I love stretching. It feels good, I know other fitness influencers, some of them are like, oh, stretching's not important, you just need to be strong. I think it is. It increases blood flow. It feels good. I think anything that feels good that you're doing that's positive is definitely good. It's, your body telling you we're doing the right thing. We're feeling good. I'll stretch, I'll feel good, I'll have more mobility, and I won't, tweak something in the gym. It's just really important. Really is. And then weekly sprints. Yesterday, I did sprints, and I'm super sore. It's a full body workout, bro. Honestly. You want to be doing weekly sprints. I didn't do it for the longest time. They're super beneficial, bro. You'll get way more in a 20-minute sprint workout than you will in a run or something like that. So definitely super important. It boosts your testosterone a ton. And that's all it is for fitness. It's pretty simple. So for your lifestyle, constant sun exposure. When I talked about micronutrients in the diet, think of the sun as like food, right? And constant sun exposure is, you're absorbing that food. You're not eating it, but it's still nutrients. It's still food. Vitamin D comes from it, the radiation, all that type of stuff. So I always talk about aiming for 40,000 IU per day minimum. That's about like an hour in the sun, direct sunlight. So it's really not that much. It might seem like a lot, but it's really not. What they talk about as like a healthy dose of vitamin D is complete fucking bullshit. You're not going to spend 5 minutes in the sun, direct sunlight, and then be like, oh, yep, that's all I need. If I get any more, that's dangerous. Bro, come on now. It's fucking bullshit. Anybody spends more than that in the sun. But if you take your shirt off, you wear shorts, you sit in the sun, I promise you, dude, free energy, dude. Free energy. That is probably one of the best changes you can make, is getting more sunlight. I promise, dude. If one of the main things I did when I had a job, I would have like an hour lunch, and I would come out and I'd go for a walk in the sun. I would eat my food, I'd go out for a walk in the sun, absorb as much of that sunlight as I can. If you're not really allowed to do that at your job, there's definitely things you could do, like in the morning. I would definitely try and get sun in the morning. I also did that. If you can, try and get sun after work. Just try your best, and if you seriously can't do it, can't get sun for whatever reason there is, you're going to have to supplement vitamin D, for sure. And so now that we have that all settled. Eliminating fake dopamine vices and replacing the fake dopamine vices with real dopamine, right? So what are the fake dopamine? You know, porn, doom scrolling, drugs, hookups, mindless entertainment. You know, I'm talking, you know, Netflix, Hulu, bullshit. Bro, you could be working on something. You have goals. There's a dream that you have. Whatever it may be. Whatever. If you want to be like the best fucking pharmacist out there. Or you want to be a BMX pro rider. When I was little, bro, all I wanted to do was be a famous YouTuber. It's always been my goal. It's always been my goal to have a personal brand, you know, this and that. I just now have discipline to finally do it. So, you know, that's what I'm doing right now. So whatever, I don't even give a fuck if you want to be like the valedictorian in your school, bro. Start working hard on it, bro. Like, you know, I had a church sermon one time that was so powerful, bro. So powerful because it was Haggai, the book of Haggai, very small book in the Bible. It talked about how like nobody felt like building the temple again because it took 60 years to build the last one. It got destroyed and they don't feel like it because it would take too long. But the thing is, God was like, bro, build the fucking temple because it's not about like when the temple's built, right? That's the goal. Obviously, we want to have the goal, but the happiness comes from working and building, and you know, where God guides, He will provide you, and the work is what cures your depression. The happiness comes from being proud of what you did. Now, a lot of people get that mixed up because, you know, God doesn't like pride, but He doesn't like, oh, I'm the best, I did that. Oh, like He doesn't like arrogant fuckers. But if you're proud of yourself and like you did a good job and you can have a smile on your face looking at all the hard work you did, that's different. That's different. God loves that. God wants you to work hard. He doesn't want you to be an arrogant asshole like these Miami people, like fucking what's that dude's name? Wes Watson, like that fucker. But yeah, really that. Like, porn is terrible. That is like Satan's playground, bro. That'll put you in a dark fucking space if you're addicted to that. That's probably like one of the first things you should do, you know? And obviously you can't just drop porn. And one of the best things, bro, that I didn't even put on here is like not going on your phone in the morning. It's one of the best fucking things you could do, bro. It's like your phone, just check briefly to see if like, you know, no emergencies going on, you know, like your mom's not dying or something, but just briefly check it. Okay, cool. Nothing's going on. It's gone. I'm going outside. I'm going to get some sunlight in my eyes. I'm going to go for an hour walk and get like 6,000 steps. You know, that's all. And then you have 6,000 steps because 10,000 steps really isn't that hard once you get used to it. And then now you have 6,000 steps and now all you got to do is get 4,000 more. And that's really not that hard for all day, getting 4,000 steps. So that's one of the cheat codes that I realized, and you'll feel a lot better. You'll feel a lot more motivated. You'll just have a lot more energy in general. But, you know, meditation, reading, you know, exercise and healthy food. I already went over all that. You know, meditation and reading, I don't really have to go into depth of that. But next slide here. So becoming purpose driven, right? So this is kind of like what I touched on last time with like having goals and whatnot. Everyone has a unique purpose, bro. Everyone has a unique purpose. You are meant to pursue that, my brother. You are meant to pursue that. And there's going to be problems like this picture right here. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be problems, bro. You're going to have a fucking crisis. There's going to be so much bullshit. But that's the journey, bro. That's what makes you happy. There's no light without dark, bro. You have to pursue that. You have to go through the problems. Because, you know, our brain, since we have survival already, like that's kind of what we're wired for. Since we can already just live on autopilot, our brains aren't really worried about doing that shit. We're like, bro, we could just be comfortable. We can live. We're chilling, bro. But something, you know, you have to be more than that, bro. You have to be more than that, and you have to try and become great. Try and, you know, solve a purpose. You have a unique purpose, bro. And if you don't even know what that is, dude, whatever your goal is, like I was talking about earlier, start pursuing that. And where God guides, he will provide you. And maybe you'll go left or you'll go right and you'll start doing something else. And then that'll lead you to another thing. And then you realize, like, that's what I want to do. You just have to start, bro. You have to start. That's the only way. And it's not easy, like I was talking about, bro. Like, it's not. And if you dedicate your life to fulfilling that purpose, I'm telling you, bro, you'll that is like the next level. Like, this is like the end goal after you've solved all those other things before, bro. It's like the end goal. I'm telling you, creation is the highest form of human frequency, dude. It truly is, bro. If you're creating, if you're helping people, if people love you, if you're jacked, if you just have high energy, if everything comes together, bro, there's no fucking reason why you should be depressed, dude. There's no reason. Zero. And that's just the bottom line, bro. But, yeah, really, you know, that'll be it. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for watching, man. I hope you took notes. I hope you found a lot of value in it, and I hope, you know, I've helped a lot of you guys. If you start implementing this into your life, bro, I promise you, your life will get better. I promise you, it did with me. You guys saw, like, if I go back to the fucking first slide, look at that. Come on, dude. Look at that, bro. In the first picture, I was depressed. I was fat. Felt like shit. You know, and then boom, jacked. Pursuing the purpose. Eating healthy. Feeling good. Relationships get better. Women want me more. Everything that you want and desire, you will start to attract it slowly. I promise, dude. And I'm going to keep posting more of these. I want my channel to be a hub where anybody can come on and just, you know, improve their life, change their life. You know, later down the line, I'm going to launch an offer, but I'm not there yet. I still need to build and create that. So, you know, I love you guys. Take action, and you have a blessed day.